So I have been in the digital marketing space for about going on 15 years now. And I do a lot of work delivering these presentations, facilitations for businesses as well as for tourism. I do a lot of work for Destination BC as well. And so this is probably one of my favorite things to be able to do, is to walk people through how to use tools and how you can get the most out of it. So today what we're focusing on is Google My Business. And I firmly believe that it's one of these tools that most businesses always forget about, but I think it's probably one of the most beneficial ones that you can be able to use. So we're gonna walk through some key ways of if you do not have a Google business or you have no idea what I'm even referring to, we're gonna walk you through what it is, how you can set it up, and how you can get started. If you do have a Google business, I'm also gonna walk you through what you can be doing to optimize it, especially right now as we're dealing with our new normal for the time. There are some key things that you want to make sure that you're communicating so people know, are you open? Are you closed? Are you offering curbside? Can they contact you in different ways? And being able to make sure that information is front and center. So we're going to walk through what you can be able to do with that. We're going to talk about a lot of different pieces. So what I'm going to encourage you to be able to do is, if you have questions as we go, please feel free to put those into the chat box. And when I have some key breaks, we'll definitely look at those. And then at the very end of the presentation, I will stay as well and offer you the opportunity to have a bit more conversations one-on-one, etc. So my one recommendation is with the chat group, if you can, with your questions, put them in there so that they go to everyone. I do find a lot of the time that we all tend to have the same questions when it comes to marketing, especially with Google. So I just encourage you to put all of your questions in there, so in case someone has the same question, we're not having to repeat it twice as well. So as we go through this, I know a lot of you are business owners or marketers for your company. And so what I want you to do is I want you to keep that marketing and that business owner hat on, but I also really want you to start to think about the customer and your guest experience, because that's really key. And if we can start to create our marketing that thinks a lot more about how guests will actually interact with our content, our website, and what we're doing, we can be a lot more successful with it. So with that, let's start to dive into some of the content. So according to TripAdvisor, nearly 80% of people report that the internet is the first place that they look when they need travel information. This refers to people that are from like out of town, out of country, but even local people. If you take a moment and you think about, even in the last, maybe not the last week necessarily because of what we're going through, but you know, you might even be one of these cases, but when you have a question, where do you go? Whether it is to find out if a restaurant is open, if you want to have an answer to a question like who won the last contest online with different things, or what's going on today in COVID, we tend to go to the internet. So the internet is one of the first places that people go. And when we're talking about local businesses, Google really wants to ensure that your customers and guests have the best experience possible. Google's job is to try and make sure that when you Google something, they are showing you the best results first. So what we want to do as business owners and as marketers is we want to try and help Google understand how and when our businesses should show up in search. So that's what we're going to walk through, is helping you be able to do that. I always find it interesting to share a couple of quick stats with people so that they know kind of what's going on when it comes to Google. So according to Google, there are billions of searches that happen every single day, 30% of those relating to local searches. These are things like directions, finding out if a business is open or closed, wanting to figure out if they have a website, and just looking for basic information. What not a lot of people realize is that a Google business listing that you find on that first page of Google is something that you as the business can own, claim, and update. And so it's a really key thing to get access to, because what happens is, for all of us, and if you think about your own experience, you probably had this, you Google in the name of a company, or you Google maybe a local restaurant or finding restaurants in your area, you get that answer on that first page of Google. You don't always go to the website. So we really want to make sure that you're having all of the accurate information on your business put on there. So the great thing about your Google business listing as well too is that it appears on search, on maps, and in a lot of other places, as we'll discuss as we go through the presentation. So some of you might be going, okay, this sounds good. What exactly is my Google business listing? So this is what a Google business listing looks like. So if you were to go into Google and you were to type in your company name or another local company that you know and love here in Mission, if you were to type it in, chances are you might see something similar to this. So you can see on the left-hand side that we've got the website, we've got a lot of the basic information about that company. On the right-hand side, we see the image, we see reviews, we see hours of operation, some contact details. That whole entire section there is your Google business listing. So that is what we're referring to. And this little section will display on the first page of Google for your company name. If somebody happens to do a local search and you rank quite highly, you can also show up at that top page of Google and it will show up in Google Maps. So one of the common questions I tend to get asked by a lot of businesses is that they want to show up higher in searches. So if somebody is searching for restaurants or for retail stores, for gyms, or for things to do in an area, they want to figure out ways that they can rank higher with local SEO. And Google My Business is a really key tool for you to be able to do this. So for those of you that are really big into SEO and really trying to make sure your business gets a lot more vision online, there's some key things that you can be looking at and doing, and we're going to walk through those when we jump live into some of the Google businesses. Now, there's 3 key factors that will determine where you show up in that local search. The first one is distance. So this really has a little ability for you to be able to influence it. So what distance refers to is whereabouts is your business in comparison to where the searcher is. So for example, I am here in Mission. I'm just off of 14th Avenue. If I were to go and I were to search for restaurants, likely the 14th Avenue pub is probably going to be one of the closest businesses that Google's going to recommend due to distance. And from there, it's going to look at my location and go out from there. So as a default, all things being equal, it will go from where the searcher is. Now, you can offset that distance by having these 2 other factors come into play. So if the business that's closest to me maybe isn't doing a great job by updating their Google business listing, they're not replying to reviews, they don't have a lot of great reviews, you can actually trump that and you can start to get ranked higher. These other 2 things is 1, relevancy. So how relevant is your business in comparison to what I searched? So again, for example, if I were to put in restaurant and you in your business listing don't clarify that you have a restaurant, Google isn't going to know that. So we want to make sure that we're updating our listings with the relevant information so Google knows everything about us. So this is really important to make sure we're including that. The next thing, and probably the biggest opportunity here for you, is prominence. This is gauged on how well known your business is based on Google. So what Google looks at for this is a couple of things. A, do you have a website? A website is the #1 most important tool that you can have as a business owner to ensure that you get found and you control the message. If you do not have a website, Google has a free tool that I'll talk about at the very end if you guys want to go over that too as well, of how you can create a free Google website. And in addition, we've actually launched another webinar as well too, where I'm going to talk about how you build an effective website. So if you haven't signed up for that, you definitely want to sign up to that webinar if you want to learn about that. So your website is really, really key. It will also look at other things such as social media. So are you using Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube? Do you have really engaging audiences there? You don't necessarily need to be everywhere, but it's just going to look and go, do you have a presence online? And where you are online, are you doing a great job with it? Are people engaging with you? Is it really great content? The other big factor that comes into play with prominence is how often are people leaving reviews on your listing. That is probably the single most important thing that you can be able to do, is to ensure that you're getting good quality reviews. So if you're like, you know what, that's something I really need to work on, perfect. We're going to talk about how exactly you can go and improve your reviews as we go through this presentation as well. So the last bit of kind of technical part I want to get into is that for those of you that do not have a business listing currently, and you know what, I would actually really love it if you guys in the comments before we go over live, just type into the chat box, and I'll look at that quickly before we switch, and let me know if anybody on here does not have a Google business listing, because if that's the case, then I will definitely spend some time of walking through that. But some quick ways that you would know if you have a Google business listing is you can create one from scratch. So if you don't have one, if you're like me where you run your business maybe from home, Google might not realize you are a business, and so you might not have one and you want to create it from scratch. 2 is that Google might already have created one for you and you don't know that. And this is the big thing that happens with a lot of businesses, is that they'll Google their company. They see that there's this Google listing or this Google bit of information on the platform, and they go, oh, look, Google must have created that, and they don't realize that they can own it and claim it. So if you've actually got one created by Google, you can actually claim it. The third one is ownership. So if you've had a marketing team, or if you've taken over a business that a previous owner had, they may have created a listing and you don't have access to it. So there's actually ways that you can go and you can actually request ownership to reclaim that listing as well too. So those are the key things that you're able to do in order to create your listing. So again, if you don't have a listing, just type in the box so that I know how many people or how many businesses here don't have a listing. Looks like everybody does. Perfect. So it looks like everybody here does have a Google business listing. Oh, one person says that we don't. Perfect. Okay. If you don't have a listing, then what I'm going to do is I'll walk you through just quickly how to be able to set these up. If at any point in time it's not making sense, or if you're like, you know what, I really want help setting this up as well, stay on for after the webinar, or you can contact me afterwards too, and I'm more than happy to help you to set that up. So a couple of things to help us get started. So to access and manage your Google business listing, we're going to go to google.com/business. It's a great website to help you get started. So for those of you that do not have a business listing, you're going to go here to be able to create it and get started. The other thing I'm going to really encourage that you do is that on your mobile device, you've also got the opportunity to download the mobile version of Google My Business. I strongly encourage you to do this, because as I'm going to walk you through a couple of key steps, I find that when you have problems or issues, or you need to communicate things with Google, the mobile device is a lot better to get responses than using your desktop version. I always joke and say that Google does a lot of really great things, but they're really bad at communicating it to people of how you use some of their tools. And in my experiences of calling and working with Google, you sometimes get directed to departments that don't even know that other departments are doing something. And I find when you go through the mobile tool there, you get directed to the right teams when it comes to Google My Business. So you really want to make sure, regardless of the type of device you have, that you're able to go in there and download that, because that's going to help you if you need to be able to work with anything in the future. Okay, so next I'm going to just change my screens here and we're going to go live. So I just want to make sure you're able to see my screens. Perfect. Okay. So just a quick walkthrough so that some of you can kind of get your bearings when it comes to Google. And I have 2 screens, so I apologize if you get a lot of my side profile now as we move into this next section. So I happen to run the Artisan Log Homes digital marketing, being the family company. So when I type in their company name, you can be able to see a lot of this information that is available. So I'm able to get access directly here to their business listing and be able to update and edit any information that's available here. So this is one way that if you're a business owner, you'll be able to access the account. If not, A lot of people I find sometimes get a little bit lost when it comes to how you're actually going to access your Google business listing. So the first step is that you need to be logged into your Google account. For most of you, that's probably going to be through a Gmail account, or it might be through another address that you used to originally sign up with Google. If you are someone that you've had multiple Gmail accounts, it can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming, and you sometimes have to try different Gmail accounts to find out where it's listed. The easiest way to do that is to make sure you log out, close all of your windows, and then log back into that new Gmail account, because Google sometimes gets confused if you have multiple windows open, and it can make it a little tricky to find out which Gmail account your listings are associated with. Once you're logged into Google, and you'll know because in that top right-hand corner, you're gonna see that little profile image, or you're gonna see your initials or a letter that's gonna indicate your name or whatever the Gmail account is that you put in. Then you've got these 9 little boxes. When you click on these, it's gonna bring a drop down, and you should see a listing here that's called My Business. If you do not see it on this first screen, if you scroll down, you will see other Google tools, and you should be able to find it here, and then you can always just drag it back up. So that's the first way that you're able to look and find it. If you still can't, you can go to google.com/business, and you're able to access it here by just clicking the sign in or manage now. So those are the key ways that you're going to be able to access your listing and be able to manage it. So before I move on, I just want to know if anybody has any questions at this point before we actually dive into the platform. So if you do, just put it into the quick chat group there, and I will answer any quick questions this far in if you've got them. I'll leave just a quick moment in case anybody does. Perfect. It doesn't look like anybody is. Oh, so I had a question here from someone saying that we had to mail in a postcard. So yes, so when you do create a listing, you do need to verify your account. So Google will typically do this in a couple of ways. Typically they used to do the postcard, and sometimes they still do that. They also have a new one, especially with things that are going on currently with COVID, is that you can either do it through a cell phone where they're gonna text you a code, a phone call, or you can be able to do it through an email verification. So in your case, Kelly, if you're still having that problem and you're not able to verify your listing, we can talk about that at the end of this, and I can walk you through how you can go and you can re-verify your account. It's a really key thing to make sure that you verify because you won't be able to have all of your changes and updates posted until your account has been verified. So great question. Okay, perfect. So then now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go live into the platform. So this is what a Google business listing looks like. So I'm gonna go through 2 different types of scenarios with businesses. I'm gonna go through one which is a business that people may come to, and then I'm gonna go through another example of someone that maybe is working from home, or you don't wanna have your listing displayed on the maps as well too with your address, because you can do it through both options. So when you log into your Google business listing and you've got it created, you're gonna log in here and you're gonna land on home. We're typically not gonna spend a lot of time there. We're gonna dive right into your info section here, which is gonna be your 3rd one down. This is a key place we're gonna wanna spend a lot of time. Now, due to what's going on with COVID, Google is overwhelmed with a lot of the requests and a lot of things that are taking place. So you may see, as you can see, this limited functionality come up on your account, and you might not have full access to do things. Largely that is because of just they're not able to manage everything right now. So you will just have to kind of bear with that. But once things settle down, you should get full activity availability back to you again. So what we're gonna walk through first is what you wanna think about doing for optimizing your account. So this is focused on number 1, making sure all of this information is properly updated, how and where you're going to do that. That's going to be able to help your customers know that you're open for business, how they can contact you, where they can find you. And then it's also going to help with your local search results. So once we're on this info tab, you're going to see a lot of these different pencils here that are going to walk you through some key areas that you can update. This first one here is going to just be your company name. And it's just exactly how it sounds, is that it needs to be the name of your business. Some businesses in the past used to try and keyword stuff this by putting in their location. So for examples, it would have been Artisan Log and Timber Homes, Mission, BC. Google is now stopping businesses from doing that, and you can actually be penalized. So you want to make sure it's exactly how your legal business name would be, because that's the most important thing. Underneath that, you're going to see another little pencil that is going to have a category section. So when I talked about the key things that Google looks for, one of those being relevancy, is that Google wants to know when somebody searches for your business, is it relevant to the search that they're putting in? So when you create your listing, as a default, Google will only allow you to add one category. However, you can come in here and you can add additional categories. So if you happen to be a restaurant or a retail store and you have multiple things that you offer, you want to come in here and you want to make sure that you're adding those additional categories. So by doing this, all you're going to do is you're going to come down, you're going to go add category, and you're going to start to type something. As you start to type, you're going to see these options pull up. You can only select options that Google gives you permission to do. That's the unfortunate thing. So you're going to be a little bit limited. You might find that categories don't fit you perfectly. So you want to pick the best ones as much as possible. These categories play a really big part, because as we go through a lot of these sections, you're going to see some new options pop up as far as people being able to book, add services, make reservations, and those functions become available to your listing based on your category. So if you are a restaurant, for example, and you're wanting to allow people to reserve a table, or say you are a retail store and you're wanting people to be able to shop online, or in your case here with Artisan, maybe you're a construction company, or you're a fitness studio and you're wanting people to be able to book or to send requests to have one-on-one sessions, you can do all of those things, but you're not going to be able to add those unless the proper categories are set. So if there's a functionality that you're wanting that you see other businesses have and your business doesn't have it, chances are it's because one of your categories in here are set to not allow that function available. So hopefully that made sense. So you want to go through here and you want to be able to add additional categories that reflect your business. That's the really key thing. The next thing here is adding your address. So once you click on this pencil, it's going to pop open your address here and you're able to fill this information out. Now, for those of you that are businesses either located on First Avenue or in the Junction, or you're in another type of complex, this part is really key. So Google, as a default, when you put in your listing information, it's automatically going to just put it where your pin is located right next to the main road or the highway. However, if you happen to be in a complex, your business isn't necessarily located right there. It might be at a building that's further in. So what you actually want to do is you want to actually go open this category, get on this pin, click on it, and move it. And it will take it directly, you can move it directly to the spot of your business. So if I use this as an example, we'll scroll down to Junction down here so you can kind of see what it would look like, where Google does a pretty good job of being able to just identify all of the businesses. So as an example, we come down here to the Junction. You can see all of these pins are in specific places. So if you had a business though that is not situated perfectly, you would want to go in here, take that pin, and you'd want to move it so it is at the front of your business. Why is this important? When you think about your guests and customers, one of the main ways that we tend to use Google Maps in particular, is for directions. And if you've ever gone to get directions to a business that's in a complex and you get to the front of the complex and Google says you've arrived, but you're only at the entrance of that complex, it can be very frustrating to try and figure out where in that complex the business actually is. So when you take your pin and you drag and drop it right in front of the area that your business is situated, what Google will then do is that when somebody enters the complex, Google will tell them where exactly to drive in that complex and have them arrive right at the front door of your business. And that's going to help them to be a lot less frustrated when they enter your business. And they're going to be just a lot more thankful that Google took them directly to your company, not to just the entrance of the complex. So going in there and moving that pin is very, very key. Now, the next thing that you might do is that in my case, I happen to work from home. And because a lot of my clients, I tend to travel a fair bit, I tend to do a lot of work that way. So in my case, I don't want my home address to show up on the map. I want it to show that I serve a region, but I don't want people coming directly to my home. So what I would do here is that in my area in here for my map, when I click on it, I'm actually going to take out all of my address information and I'm going to just remove all of those details. By doing that, Google's going to realize that I am a business that offers services not at my location. So by deleting all of this information here, it's going to be able to do that. And then I'm going to now get this other option underneath it that's going to show service area. And now I can come in here and I can add the service areas that I offer. So for some of you, it may be that you service Mission, you may service the Fraser Valley. And if it's the case of the Fraser Valley, you want to go in there and you want to make sure you're adding Mission, Abbotsford, Langley, Maple Ridge. You want to make sure you're adding every single place. But by going in here and doing this, that's going to help Google know that you service these areas so that even if I happen to be in Abbotsford and I'm searching for you, you will still show up. So it's really important to make sure that you're able to do that. So that's going to be the key way that you're wanting to be able to do that. Now, the next area that we're going to go into is going to be hours. And so I just see here that someone's asking about how you get to show the hours AM, PM, not the 24-hour clock. So we're going to go through a little bit of that in here. So when you go to your hours of operation, this is probably the next most important thing. When you click on your hours, you're going to want to come in here and you're going to want to actually add your hours in here. So when I come in and I go to add hours, I'm going to go in here and I can go 24 hours, or I can go down and I can pick the hours here and they should be able to choose that. If you have not selected hours or you've said open and your hours are blank, it will show 24 hours that you are open. So if I were to just do this and I were to go 24 hours, it's going to now display that we are open 24 hours a day. So you need to come into here and you need to actually select the dates and hours that you're open, and the dates that you're closed, you're going to pick closed. Now, what you want to think about doing is you want to come in here to your hours section and you want to populate all of your hours as they would be generally. So what you want to do is, especially right now, if you are a business that you happen to be having adjusted hours because of COVID, you want to come in here and you want to go through and you want to update these hours. So you want to come in here, you want to make sure that they're updated and reflected to how your business is running right now. So once you've gone in here and done that, that's the key thing, so people know from day to day what your open hours are. The next section that we're going to talk about is what they call specialty hours. So underneath this section, you're going to see another little calendar. And when you click on the calendar and you open this up, it's going to have options for upcoming holidays or special days that Google realizes in the calendar that are taking place. So for example, here we've got Canada Day. So if we were to come in here, it's going to ask us, are we open or are we closed? You're going to want to come in here and select closed if you're closed, or leave it open and adjust your hours. Why is this important? If you've ever gone onto Google on a holiday and you've gone to search if a business is open, underneath that business listing, underneath the hours, you'll see an alert in yellow that says that the holiday may affect these business hours. So again, if we put on that customer hat and we think about how your customers might respond to that, if I don't know 100% if you're open or closed, I'm probably going to call you to see if you're open. But if you don't answer the phone, or you're really busy and you've got a lot of other things going on and you don't answer the phone, I'm going to make the assumption that you're probably closed and not show up. So by you coming in here and confirming, yes, I'm open, or yes, I'm closed, what's going to happen then is underneath those hours for that holiday, Google's now going to say confirmed holiday hours. So even if you've put your hours into that regular calendar that you're open on a Monday and a holiday falls on a Monday, you still need to come in here under your specialty hours and confirm those hours because Google will not know that you are also open for the holiday unless you tell Google. So in addition to these dates that you can automatically put in here, you can also add new dates. So we've got the Mail on Weekend coming up, which is going to be the holiday Monday. So you can come in here to your calendar and you can select the date that you want. And you can say, again, am I open or am I closed? So you can come in here and you can add those closed or open dates and putting them in here. So it's really important to make sure you're coming in here and you're adding this type of information. It's going to really help people understand and know what if you're open or if you're closed, and if you are actually accepting people. So what I always suggest businesses do is that you actually spend the time, you can do this at the beginning of the year and go through the entire year and fill out the dates that you're going to be open and closed around those holidays. In addition, if you're running a promotion or a special, so around the holidays, maybe you're going to extend your hours on a Friday, or when we've got the parade that goes on, maybe you're open a little bit later for that. Whenever you have additional dates and times that you're open, you want to come in here and you want to add that to your calendar so that people know. Because even if you post it on your website, a lot of people, if they're just looking for a quick Google search of where am I going to go for dinner, what's something I can do, where can I go get a drink, they're not going to always know that your business is open. And so by you going in there and updating these hours, you're a lot more likely to show up in the Google search results on maps if you're open and other businesses are closed. So that's how we'll be able to do that. And Shelly, I see your question. I'll probably help you a little bit afterwards just to figure out your categories rather than going through it here. So I do acknowledge your question and I will answer that later. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any additional questions when it comes to hours, let me know. This is probably the biggest thing that we can be able to do. So again, to locate your specialty hours, you should see them right underneath where you have your main hours in here. You'll see a little tab here. Depending on your business, if you've never used your specialty hours before, you might not see dates. You just might see another calendar and a pencil. That might be all you see if you've never done this before. So key action step that you want to do after this is you want to go through here. You want to update your hours if it's been, if you're currently adjusted, or you want to come down here and you want to add your specialty hours as well. Now, the next thing that we talk about here, and this particularly applies to COVID, is what happens if you happen to be temporarily closed. So in this case right now, unfortunately, a lot of businesses have had to make the decision to close or to offer some other type of assistance. So maybe it's going to just be curbside during certain hours, or maybe it's delivery only. Or in cases too as well, we see this with a lot of resorts and a lot of tourism businesses, is that you might be seasonal. So you're only open for a certain time of the year. What you do not want to do is you do not want to come into your main hours here and delete everything. If you do, Google will think that your business is closed. So you don't want to do that. What they have done now is, as you can see on this side up here, is that they have added a new mark as temporarily closed. So if your business is currently closed and you're not doing any business at all, you can actually come in here and you can mark your business as temporarily closed. Also, you can mark as permanently closed or remove listing, which if your business is active, you do not want to do either of those. You would want to mark it as temporarily closed. Once you do that, Google will then come in and it will then remove your hours and it'll put a temporarily closed listing on there. But if you remove your hours, Google will think that you are closed. So the key thing to know is that after this whole COVID situation goes away, hopefully soon, they may get rid of this. Previously, Google did not make temporary closures available to all businesses. They just added it largely because of the amount of requests they were getting. So hopefully they keep it, but if they don't, this is where your trusty Google app on your phone helps. So what I recommend that you do is that when you've downloaded that app, when you log into your Google business listing there, when you scroll down to the bottom of your listing, you're going to see an opportunity where it says help or contact support. You're going to click on that, and in there, you're going to have an option to call, chat, or send an email to Google. You always want to choose the email Google. If you go to the phone, you get put to their general support. If you go to chat, they're not always able to help you, and they're going to ask you to send an email request anyways. What you're going to do is you're going to send an email request from your account there saying that our business is temporarily closed during this season, or for whatever reason that it is. It'll go to Google, and Google will temporarily close your business within 3 business days. And again, that will move your hours. Right now, you should not have to do that. You should have this listing here. If you do not see the temporary closed option, that's when you want to go to the app and be able to do that. But they've done their best to really roll this out to make sure that businesses have the option to do the temporarily closed. So again, if you have any questions with that, throw it in the chat and I can definitely address it afterwards as well. So moving on to making sure that we're optimizing your accounts here is coming down and just adding in your additional contact details. So phone number, this tag is just for having people tag you in content, having your website, for an appointment link. So again, depending on the type of business that you offer, you may have an option here to add an appointment link, or you may also see another option that comes here up on the left-hand side that will allow for bookings. So online bookings, where it can actually sync into your third-party app like Mind and Body for those of you that happen to do a lot of fitness. You may see those options. That's largely going to depend on the type of category you've assigned for your business. So if you're not seeing this, it's likely because the categories you've chosen, Google doesn't think your business has that option. So you'd want to just make sure you're adding the proper categories that would allow you to be able to do that. Likewise, underneath that, you're going to see a section here on this listing, which is called services. Some of you might see an option called products, and some of you might not see anything at all underneath here. So depending on your category, you're going to see different options underneath your listings. But what you're able to do if you do have a product or a service category that's come available to you is you can actually go into the services section and you can add the different types of services that you offer. Why is this important? The more information that you put into your Google business listing, the more Google will understand what you do and will then be able to help ensure that you show up for the proper search results. So by going in here, and again, from a strong SEO, for those of you that are really focused on search engine optimization, you want to be using keywords and phrases in here that are going to help people and help Google to know what it is that you offer, because this will show up in search. So spending some time to actually pull your listings, pull your services, pull what other information you have is going to be really key for you to be able to do that. So moving back to our main info tab as well too, you may see an option down here called amenities. So where this is helpful is that if you've ever done a Google search, sometimes people need to have special requirements. So an example might be that they want to ensure that there's a washroom available at the facility, that there's parking, that there's accessibility for someone that needs additional services, so like wheelchair. They might want to make sure that a business is pet friendly. When you have these types of attributes, you cannot add these on your own. Google will have to assign them to your account. So how this happens is that when you use Google Maps to go to a business and you use the maps to arrive there, what you sometimes will see is Google will say like, hey, do you mind answering a couple of questions about this business? And you'll answer yes or no. As they get more information about your business, you will have attributes that will show up here that you can then accept or you can actually disallow. So you'll see new amenities or attributes show up with this plus side. And then if they're not applicable, you can actually just click on them and you can be able to remove them just like that. And now they'll actually say that, nope, you can remove that. So that's how you're able to add and remove amenities and attributes, is that people will have to respond to questions that Google is asking about your business first, and then they'll be able to come in here and do that. So that's going to give you the quick overview of your listing on this info tab to walk you through that. If you ever want to take a look and see what your listing actually looks like, you can actually go onto your page here where it says your business is live, and you can go view on search, view on maps. If you've just gotten access to your business, or you've got you're still waiting for your verification, you will possibly see underneath here as well too where it'll say verify this business, and that's where you would do it here as well. So that's where you're going to be able to get a really great overview of how your Google business listing is looking on Google. So I know this is a lot of information, but hopefully you're finding this helpful. We're going to talk about a couple of key things as well that you really want to be thinking about. So the next place that we're going to dive down to is this Photos tab. So Photos is becoming a bigger and bigger piece when it comes to search and it comes to people deciding on the businesses they go to and they don't go to. Again, thinking about your own personal experience. Before you think about going to a new restaurant or maybe staying in a new hotel or going to any type of shop, you might look at a few photos to say, is that the place I want to go to? I know for myself personally, if I'm going to a restaurant and I look them up on Google or on Yelp or a TripAdvisor, I might look at the pictures and go, how good do the meals look? So people are doing the same thing for your business as well. So you want to make sure that you're coming in here and you're adding pictures. Google recommends at least 30 photos for your listing. That is the key amount that you want to try and strive for. So what are some things that you can add some photos about? One is going to be your business itself. So inside and outside, products and services, maybe some of your staff, anything that you feel is reflective of your business can be great things for you to put in here. So there's a couple of little tricks and tips that I want to walk you through to think about. So as you can see at this top here, there's two options. We've got this cover and we've got a logo. The big thing that you want to do is on your cover photo is you want to upload a photo that is the front of your business. Now in Artisan's case, they run at a log yard and they don't want people actually showing up at the log yard. So we have not put an image of the front of the business on here. But if I were to do a quick Google search and we were to actually look at some of these other businesses that are here, we'll just pick Blackberry Kitchen as a random. And you're seeing the images that are showing up here. We actually want to make sure that these listings are actually having the front of their business showing up. Sorry, my Wi-Fi thinks a little bit slow here to be able to do that. Yeah, it's being slow with the image. So what we want to think about doing here is you want to make sure that you're uploading the front of your business. Why is that important? So again, if we think about your customer experience, if you're a business, you're located in a large shopping mall and somebody has used Google to get directions to your business and there's a lot of businesses that the fronts all look the same, it can be really helpful when they see the front of your business to reaffirm to say, yes, I'm in the right place. We're trying to make it as simple and as easy for your guests and your customers to have a seamless experience to go from finding you on the web to finding you in real life. So that's the real core thing that you want to be able to do. Now, I'm going to share with you one of the biggest little tricks that you can be doing to help with your SEO, your search, both in image and in Google, because not many businesses do this. So if you look on my desktop here, you're going to notice that I've got an image here that is a front of a house that Artisan has. For most of you, when you go to upload an image, you're probably going to have an image that's been saved on your phone. Maybe you've hired a professional photographer, or maybe you've just taken some professional photos yourself. And so you might see funny file names like this, like image123, or in this case, it's a huge long number. What you can actually be able to do is open up this, so click on this file here. So I gotta actually click out of this. Is you're gonna click on the image file name here, and we're actually gonna change the name of this file. And so what we're gonna wanna change this to is something that is keyword rich. So things like in Artisan's case, it would be Log Home Builders Mission, maybe Log Home Builders Canada, might be Log Cabins. So for you, it might be best restaurants in Mission. It might be best retailers in Mission. It might be certain types of products that you have. So if people are looking for certain types of things, kids clothing, anything that is keyword that somebody might go to Google to try and find you in a local search, you want to put that file name in here. So as an example, if I go Log Home Builders Mission, and I'm going to take that, I'm going to save my file name as that. What this is doing is that when you upload photos, there's no way in Google for you to add captions or more descriptions about your photos. So by you putting that description in your title, it's giving Google that little bit of information to know what that photo is about, and it's going to help you rank in image search. So once I've actually changed my file name in here, I'm going to go to this plus sign, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to upload my photo. Go to desktop. I'm going to grab my photo, pull it in here. And now it's going to upload my photo, and it's already got my keywords in here. Most businesses do not do this. Most businesses take whatever the image file name is and they just upload the photos like that. So you have a huge advantage if you take the time to do it. Yes, it's a little bit of extra work, but you will get so many more results from that if you can do this. The more photos you have too, Google puts a lot of weight behind that. So again, the recommended amount by Google is adding 30 photos. So make these really good quality photos if you can. Now, another question I often get asked after I show people this is, can you go back in and rename the photos you've already uploaded? No, unfortunately, you cannot. So if you have a photo in here that, say, for example, doesn't have a lot of views. So maybe it's been on there for a long time, and like in this case here, this one only has 383 views. You might want to delete that photo, rename it, and then re-upload it. But if you've got a photo like this cover photo that's got 85,000 views, you probably don't want to remove that because it's already probably showing up really well in search. So you want to just think about adding new photos that from here on in, you're going to change the file names on your photos when you upload them. That's going to be the best system that you can be able to use to do that. So that's my little kind of sneaky trick to help you. It's got a really big impact if you can take the time to be able to do that. So the next area that we're going to look at is messaging. So we live in a very digital time, and especially now more than ever. So a lot of guests and customers really want that instant communication, that instant reply. So that can be really great. And Google's made this option where you can actually have it that customers can message with you directly. So they can actually leave messages or they can be able to text you. Now, if you happen to be a business that you are very social, you're very active, and you want to activate this, perfect, go ahead. But if you're someone that, you know what, you just don't have the time to be replying to random text messages and random conversations that are taking place online, do not activate this. It's totally okay for you to not want to activate this. You can be able to just leave that and not worry about it. So all you're wanting to be able to do is just know that this is available. And if you want this option, great. If not, that's totally okay as well. In addition to this, there is also the option here as well too that Google used to have or does have available, but they turned it off right now, is typically underneath your listing. Underneath here, you'll see a question and answer period where you can go in as your business and reply to Q&As that people have asked. Google has turned that option off right now because of COVID. So it's not a functionality that is available, but what this used to look like was that there was a Q&A section where anybody that had a question for your business could go on here, ask a question, and anybody could answer it. So you, a previous customer, or anybody on the web. So that function will probably come back after everything's settled down, but it's not there currently. But if you, in the future you're on here, you see this Q&A section, that's what that's referring to, if that makes sense. Okay, told you there's lots to go over. It's lots of good stuff. Okay, last thing here that we're going to talk about before we get into insights, and probably the biggest thing, which is going to be talking about reviews, is the least used tool, which is Posts. So Posts is such a great option for you to be able to highlight things that are going on. So how Posts work is, think of them just like mini social media posts that you're putting out like you would on Facebook or Instagram or any other social media platform. So you can come into your section in here and you can be able to add an update. So in this case here, they've just updated to say COVID-19 update. I've got add offer, add update, event, add product. Again, depending on the type of business you have, you may see different ones. If I go back to Artisan's account here, whoops, sorry, you will probably see a few different options as well. So they just got COVID-19 ad offer, ad update, ad event. So you may see different things on your account as well. If you do not see the option on your account here for posts, let me know, or I can even throw it into the chat box afterwards. There's a link you can go to on Google to request the post ability. They were rolling it out, and then of course everything happened, so not all businesses have it. So if you're one of those, let me know or throw it into the chat box and I can get you the link afterwards as well too. So what you can do is come in here and you can be able to add posts that have images or video up to 30 seconds long. So you can come in here and add an update by uploading your photo or your video, write your post, and have a clear call to action. So you can be creating posts for specials, for promotions, new blogs you've got, new products and services you're offering, any types of special events you've got going on. All of these types of things are really key for you to be able to do. Right now with COVID, it's also extremely important that you communicate as well. So if you happen to be a business right now that is affected, so you do not have your regular hours or you're not offering the same type of services, again, curbside, you're offering messages to deliver only, whatever it is you have, any type of change that's taking place, you can come in here to this COVID-19 update, put your update in here and let people know. So that way they're going to understand if you're open, if you're not open. And again, if you've got more information on your website, you can be able to select from these options down here to lead people there. So you can click learn more and add a link that goes directly to your business. These listings here, where they will show up live on your listing, just underneath your reviews. On your mobile device, they're actually going to be right front and center under your tabs as well too. And you're going to be able to see previous listings that have been on as well. So they do get a fair amount of visibility. The other great thing as well too is that these are all SEO rich, meaning that whenever you're putting information in here, Google will actually search for that too during your listings. So it's really important to make sure that you're going in here and you're updating that. Now, I know we've had a couple of businesses in here that are a little bit more tourist related. So I do also want to just share one more point with you as well with this. So if you happen to be a business that you generally are closed down during part of the season anyways, because your business just doesn't allow for full season work, what I recommend businesses do is you make that request to put a temporary closed listing on your account, but then come in here to an event, create an event. So say that you're going to be closed from May 10th, and then you're going to be open again in, we'll say, September 30th. Coming in here, doing that, and saying closed for the season. And then what will happen is that because you've got these dates here, this post will sit on your account for the duration of this time period. So people know your business is temporarily closed, but then they'll see this post underneath it that says, oh, they're only closed for the season. And they'll know that you should be back in operation on September 30th. I always recommend to make this end date a little bit longer than you expect, because you can always take the post down if you happen to come back to work a little bit earlier, but it can be a little bit more difficult to try and extend it sometimes. So doing that's going to be a really key way for you to be able to communicate with people. So if you're not temporarily closed, even if say you're needing to close for renovations for a week or two, going in here, creating an event and saying that you're closed for renovations or you're closed for whatever reason can just, again, be another key way to communicate, because most people are going to go to your business listing on Google, look for the latest update. They're not always going to go to your website. So those are some key things to really note and take a look at. So I just saw here a little comment from Ashley. Should you be doing these photos you update on your website as well? So yes, the descriptions you're putting on your photos, yes, those are really key for Google. The more information you can give your photos, the better. So including changing the file names on your photo, and when you're uploading them, making sure you're adding those alt descriptions as well on your website. Both of those are really key things to help with your SEO. Okay, it's a bit of a fire hose, guys, so stick with me. I hope you're finding this helpful as well. So now let's talk about probably the biggest thing that people are always concerned about, which are your reviews. So we're gonna go back live here to the deck to go over that. So you need to focus on setting expectations. Everything your guest really reads online about you will be shaping their expectations of what is to come when they visit you. So you really want to think about everything that they're experiencing, from putting your address in or looking up your business and getting there on Google Maps, to also how the pictures are looking and how you respond to people online. So everything that they're finding online is going to be a reflection of what they expect there. I always tell businesses that your online and offline should be the same. You don't want to have this amazing online presence where you've got just like stellar photography, stellar everything, but then when they come and see you in person, it falls a little bit short. So you really want to make sure that your online and offline reflect one another clearly. And reviews are a really key way for people to be able to understand a bit more about your business, because it means one thing when you talk about how great you are, but it means everything else when people say how great you are. So reviews are extremely key. So let's talk about some basic review principles when you're trying to get people to leave your reviews. So number one is to commit to listening to those reviews, that people are talking about you no matter what. A lot of businesses get really scared when it comes to asking for reviews or for having to put up different places where people can leave reviews. You cannot turn off the review functionality on Google, so they will be there. So really start to think of them as little business evaluations, and don't fear the bad. Look at it as a way to improve. The other key thing to think about is that a lot of consumers consider reviews that are more than 3 months old irrelevant. So if you've happened to had a bad review 5 years ago that was at 1 star, I know a lot of businesses are like, oh, I just have that 1 bad star, so I'm at 4.9, I can't get to that 5. Your consumers don't care about that. They really honestly don't. A lot of people understand that, you know what, 5 years ago, maybe something happened, you've learned, you've changed. If you've had great reviews the last couple of weeks, the last month, they're gonna take that into consideration versus that 1 bad review from 1 year ago. So it's really being clear to be able to focus on the good reviews, the recent reviews, and helping to always improve that. The key thing you want to be thinking about is always replying with a virtual smile. And we're going to talk about some ways that you can ask for reviews. And we're also going to talk about some ways of how you want to respond to reviews. The other thing I also just want you to understand too is that sometimes people, they use digital marketing as that way to get mad, and you can see them typing really hardly on the keyboard. People understand that, and they know that not, you know, some people that leave those 1-star reviews and are very angry, sometimes they're completely legit, but sometimes it's somebody that just, the business wasn't right for them, and that's okay. So let's talk about 4 ways that you can ask for reviews. So this works for Google, TripAdvisor. If you've got another platform that you're using to gain reviews, this can work as well. So number 1 is creating a link that goes from your website right to the place where they're going to leave a review. So for a lot of you, this might be your Google business listing, where you can actually create the direct link that goes right to your listing to be able to do that. If you're using a platform like TripAdvisor, TripAdvisor's got great widgets that you can download, where you can put a widget right onto your website that will help you to direct people to leave reviews. So really try and make it simple and easy for people to be able to do that. The next way is email follow-up. So for those of you that maybe you've got email lists, you've got people that actually book or buy things online virtually, and you start to get those emails going together, send them an email and ask them to leave a request online. Again, link directly to the platform you're wanting them to do that. So another common one is Facebook sometimes. So really make it simple and easy. The next thing, probably the easiest and the best way for you to be able to do that, is ask in person. If you're a business that you're a little bit worried as to whether or not somebody's going to leave a good or a bad review, when you have somebody that's actually come into your business, you can tell if they've had a good or a bad experience. So when someone says, oh my gosh, this is such a great experience, it's the best meal I've had, you've been the most helpful, I can't wait to come back, that's a clear indicator that this person is probably the type of person you want to share their experience online and leave you a review. So you know what? Simply just ask them. Simply just reply to say, you know what, so great to hear you enjoyed your experience. You know what would really help me out is if you could go to my Google business listing and leave me a review there. I would greatly appreciate it. You can do those types of things. Also, think about incorporating this into your other marketing. That's always a really great thing for you to be able to do too. So if you're handing out pamphlets, you're handing out business cards, anything like that that you've got, put a little sign on there that reminds people to go to your different accounts and to leave you reviews. I suggest always focusing on one account at a time. So right now, if Google's the account you're wanting to improve on, make that the go-to platform you want people to leave reviews on. And then you can always adjust it and you can say, okay, now I want to focus on Facebook, or now I want to focus on TripAdvisor. But if you give them too many platforms to go to, a lot of the times people won't do it just because they don't have the time. So you really want to make it simple for them. A lot of people also ask, can you give incentives? And you can, but you need to be careful in the way you give an incentive. So as an example, saying to someone like, you know what, I'd really appreciate it if you were to go online and leave me a review. By doing so, I'd give you $5 off next time, or I'll give you, a percentage off. You can do little things like that, but you need to be clear that you're not going to say, if you leave me a 5-star review, I'll give you a gift card, because that's indicating to Google that you're trying to gamify the system and encourage people to only give you strong ratings. So you want to be honest and sincere with it to say, you know what, I'd love for you to leave me a review. Ideally, they're going to leave you that 4 or 5-star because you're only going to be asking people that you feel probably had a great experience. But you want to make sure that they have the freedom to give any type of review that they want. So those are some key ways that you can be able to ask for reviews. So now let's talk about handling those negative reviews. Actually, before I go there, just in the chat box, because this is always a little bit fun, I find it interesting. If you happen to get a negative review, what do you do? So just in the chat box, quickly throw in your ideas as to what would you do when you get a negative review about your business. If anybody wants to be brave enough to put a response in there. Looks like maybe people are too busy listening. Make sure we respond. Yes, good answer. Thank them for their feedback. Perfect. I would email them back. Awesome. Love this. Perfect. Great. So the key thing is to reply. You definitely want to be able to reply, not only because of the person that maybe had a negative experience and you want to handle it with them, but also with the rest of the people that would eventually come across that review. So the first and most important thing is that if for some of you, you've got staff or you've got a team that helps you to manage your marketing, really define a policy. How are you going to be able to do it? In a recent Harvard study, they stated that a lot of people, that 85% of users felt stronger about the company in their opinion if they responded to a bad review. So how do you respond to a review? You respond to the review by trying to take it offline. You do not want to get into a back and forth on a social media platform. People will say and do things on a computer and a mobile device that they will never say to your face, unfortunately. So you want to try and diffuse the situation. So regardless of what someone has said, if somebody's gone on there to say something horrible about your business, you want to address the situation and then say, you know what, Jennifer, I'm really sorry you had this experience. Please contact myself and I'd be more than happy to discuss it. Ideally, you're going to leave your initials, or you're going to say, please contact our management, Jill, and she'll be able to discuss this with you further. You can leave an email or you can leave a phone number, and that person can hopefully call you. If that individual does not call you, that is okay. That is on them. But what you have done is you have made the first attempt to say, you know what, we've realized that maybe we aren't always perfect and sometimes things happen, but we want to do our best to correct them. And so you're going to make that effort to be able to correct them. And the rest of the people that see your account, that look at reviews and see that you've made that effort, they're noticing that you're doing that, and that's going to win them over. As I mentioned, a lot of people understand that not every business is perfect for everybody. A quick example of this was that there was a boutique hotel in the States that got a really bad review. And if you ever think about a boutique hotel, it's not going to be a big fancy hotel. So you're not going to have huge king size beds, big flat screen TVs, a really big deep tub, lots of space. A boutique hotel typically has smaller beds, tiny bathroom, the old school TVs. You know, they're a little bit more kind of quaint and sweet that way. So this family had left a review online saying that they were really disappointed by the hotel. They tried to stay in this boutique hotel with their family of 4. The beds were really tiny. You know, they had a really tough time trying to walk around each other to get into the bathroom. And they just talked about everything that a boutique hotel is. And before the business owner was even able to get on Google and reply to them, the community actually jumped on board from seeing this reply and said, that's kind of why you go to a boutique hotel, is for those things. Next time, maybe you guys should go to a Best Western or something else. So if you happen to get reviews like that, a lot of people sometimes realize that either A, maybe they didn't understand what your business offers, or maybe they just weren't the right fit. So we've come away from this idea that a bad review is always bad. Sometimes you have to take it into context, and most people are really understanding of that. So the key thing for you though is you need to respond to those reviews. Google puts a huge amount of weight on having communication, two-way communication. The only way that you're really able to do that is through these reviews. So by you going in there and replying to a review, ideally within 24 hours, that is the key and best thing that you can be doing. So how do you handle positive reviews? Same way, you want to be able to respond. You want to try and do it in a really key way though. So instead of having a great review and going in there and saying, thanks for the review, try and personalize it. If you can, 5 words or more. This applies on Google, on Facebook, on TripAdvisor, on a lot of these platforms. They're getting really smart with their algorithms and everything, that they can tell the difference between a 1-word reply and a 5-word reply. So, and if your replies are being repetitive, so you want to try and customize it. So you can go in there and you can say, you know what, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us last weekend. We're really glad your family had a wonderful time. Try and personalize it as much as you can so that Google will give you a higher rating with that. But the key thing is to reply. Even if all they've done is just giving you a star review, leave a comment. If it's a 1 star, go on there and say, you know what, Shelly, I'm really sorry that you had that experience. Again, please contact us. Here's my number. Here's my email. Or if it's a 5-star review, awesome. So glad you guys had a great time. Can't wait to see you next time you're in town. All you want to do is you want to try and focus on that communication. Once you get those great reviews, you can share those in social media, creating posts, putting them on your website. There's a lot of other ways that you can highlight them as well too. So don't be afraid to take those reviews and start sharing them in other places to give them a lot more view and opportunity for people to be able to share those. So next, we're just going to dive quickly into the live platform so I can show you again where you will find your reviews. So we come into our trusty Google account, and if you look down this left-hand side here, you're going to see this tab called Reviews. Once you click in here, you're going to be able to see all of your reviews, the reviews that you've replied to, and the reviews that you have not replied to. So if you're one of those businesses that you're like, oh, I totally didn't even realize we have reviews, you want to make this a priority as well. My recommendation, if you've got hundreds of reviews in here, go through and do about the last month or 2 and reply to those ones. If you are a business though and you've got reviews that are say 2-3 years old, but you've only got like 10 or 12 of them, I would probably go in there and suggest replying to all of them. So it makes it really simple by just clicking on the haven't replied tab, go through that and go in and reply to those reviews that you can. So this is a really key thing that's going to help you again with your ranking. As we talked about, as far as those 3 key components that determine where you rank on social, reviews will have probably one of the biggest impact. So again, thinking about having a really strong review campaign. So looking and thinking about your reviews and trying to make sure that every single month you're getting new and fresh reviews, because Google and people tend to look at anything over 3 months as being a little bit irrelevant. So trying to keep those new and fresh is going to help you both from search and also from just your day-to-day consumers. So that's the overview as far as being able to talk about how you're going to update your account. A couple of key last things that I just want to mention. At the very bottom here, you're going to see users. So if you have an account and you need to have other people that are going to help you to be able to manage your account, you can actually come into this owner section and you can click this little add people, and you can add new people by putting in their Gmail account or whatever email is associated with their Gmail account. If you are the owner of a business and you've hired a marketing company to handle your social media and all of your digital, you need to have ownership of every single account. So even if you're never going to use this and go in here, you need to make sure that you have access to it. I have had so many businesses that have contacted me that they have no idea how to access any of their marketing, from their website to their social media to Google. You always need to own your assets. Even if you're never doing anything with them, you're hiring other people, you need to have ownership, because if something goes wrong, you want to make sure that you're not locked out of your accounts. You will also see this website button. If you have a website currently, ignore this. This is to build a quick temporary website if you do not have a website available to you. It's very rudimentary. It's very basic. You can't do very much customization at all. But if you do not have a website, this is where you're going to want to make sure that you can come in here to be able to do that. So the last thing I'm going to just touch on here quickly is your Insights tab. I always suggest to businesses that you can come in here and you can be able to do a quick review of what's going on in your business. So this is going to be very different than, for those of you that are big into digital marketing and SEO, this is different than your SEO reports that you're going to get from your Google search and how your website's showing up. This is just for your listing. So you're going to get an idea of the queries that are showing up. So when people type in your company name, what shows up? Review this. If you're seeing names or types of categories that do not apply to your business, you probably want to try and tweak and adjust some of your wording so that the right things are going to show up. You're going to get an idea of how often, how customers are searching. So are they typing in your business directly, or are they discovering you? So discovery means that they're going onto Google, they're typing in restaurants in Mission or hotels in the Fraser Valley or things to do, and you're showing up. And then what are customers doing? So, sorry, this is where they're finding you. So is it on listings? So, or is it going to be on maps or search? So are they finding you by going to a Google search, or are they finding you in Google Maps? So it's going to be able to give you a good sense as to how your customers are interacting and finding you online, and you can start to fine tune this accordingly. Then you're going to get into a lot of the key actions that are taking place, and this is really, really key. So again, depending on the type of business that you have, you may see other options here. You may see options about bookings, you may see comments, you may see a lot of other data that comes in here as well. But this is going to tell you, okay, is what I'm doing, is it working well? Are people being able to visit my website, request directions, call you, and be able to handle that there? So this is going to be a good way for you to understand how well your listing is working. Looks like I think it's just taking a little bit of time here with Google. There's not a lot of directions requests on this listing, so this probably won't show up very much either. But if you're a business that you do get a lot of direction requests, this can be helpful for you to be able to see when people are asking for directions and when they're calling you and what that looks like. So we talked a lot about the photos. So down here, you're getting a little bit of understanding about how many times people are viewing your photos in a month. Some of you may also see a little graph here that's got photos of you and photos of businesses like you. I can't remember if mine has it or not. I find that that's a really insightful graph. I know they got rid of it for a lot of businesses, which I find a little bit disappointing, but it can be very helpful to be able to have a comparison. So if you are one of those that it's got you and other businesses similar to you, you're in luck, because it gives you just that additional information. And you can just see here exactly like how much of an impact, when you start adding more photos, it can really make to your account. So again, depending on the type of listing that you have, you may see some additional insight options that come available to you. So just look at those. I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory, but they'll be able to tell you what you're able to see there. Perfect. We're just about to wrap up now. So I've shared a ton of information with you. I know it's been a huge amount of content, but I wanted to make sure I got through it so you guys got a really good understanding. Some key action steps to take away from everything we've covered. Number one, first and foremost, claim your listing. That is the most important thing to do. If you don't have a claim listing, you want to make sure you're doing that. If you're still stuck, you still know how to do that, I'll stay afterwards here on the chat and can help you through that. Then go through and optimize your account. Make sure you've got the correct business name, you've got your hours of operation, specialty hours if you're still open, or you're putting on that temporarily closed if you are closed currently. You're adding in those descriptions and keywords in through your services and through your About tab, through all of those pieces there. And you're updating your cover photo to be able to have the front of your business. And when you are doing that, you're also changing the file name of those images to be keyword rich. Lastly, focusing on reviews. So putting together a review strategy of trying to really get people and encouraging them to be able to leave you more reviews. And then once you do get reviews, you're replying and you're engaging back no matter what. And then lastly is just watch those analytics and focus on keeping your account update, because most of the customers that you're going to interact with are probably going to go to your Google business listing for a lot of that basic information, and it can be very helpful to ensure that it is correct. So I hope that you have found this helpful. Well, if for any reason any of you have any additional questions, I'll throw up actually this last slide here that's got my contact details. I'll just share my screen one more time. And you're welcome to definitely reach out to me if you want to. You can reach me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or my email address is Katt, K-A-T-T, at kattstearns.com. So you can always be able to contact me there as well. So yes, Gwen, you have the recording, no worries. Perfect.
Well, that was amazing. My head is spinning. Is everybody feeling? Can everyone nod if you took a lot of information in there? Katt, that was incredible. I really like that you gave the key takeaways there. That always is where my brain goes to too. A couple things I noted was you really emphasize that we look at our listings through the customer or our guest size, which I think is really important. We create these wonderful websites and we love them and we know where everything is. And then we've used words that no one else is going to be searching for or whatever. So I think that was super important.
Definitely. One thing just on that too, that I feel like a lot of people do, and for those of you that want to sign up for the website one, we definitely get into a lot of this, is that for a lot of us, we work on a desktop, right? We're on a computer. 60 to 70% of our guests and visitors are on this now. So we see something one way, they see it completely different. So we also need to keep that in the back of our minds too, which, I think that's why it's so important to think as a customer too.
Absolutely. And what else was I looking at? So yeah, responding to your reviews, updating, making sure your information is current and relevant. More important right now, I think, than ever before. Yes, we are recording this and we will load it. I will promise to get it on the website by the end of the week. And I did have one little bit of a tidbit. Not only do we have a whole bunch of more sessions coming up, so definitely make sure you sign up for all of them. They're all free, part of the I Love Mission campaign. But if you didn't know, Claire Seeley from the District of Mission is actually a Google verifier. So you don't have to wait for that magic postcard. You don't have to wait for the verification. You can contact Claire Seeley at the district, and she can actually get you into that a little bit quicker. So that's a great hint for anybody that hasn't claimed their listing yet or created one. Any other questions for the gang, group, anything? All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I will stop recording now, and maybe that'll cause some questions. But thank you so much, Katt. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention, if you've been through the whole entire webinar, I can also give a little shout out to Artisan Log Homes. We built an Artisan Log Home in 2000. Incredible company, so you don't have to go to their Google reviews. I just did one now. So thank you, Katt. I'm sure your baby is waiting very patiently in the wings for you. And we look forward to our next session.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you
Okay.
everybody for joining. I really appreciate it.
All right. Take care, everyone.
You
Thank
too.
you.